of putting yourself, or like not having drunk goggles on or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, so much information.
There's another quote that I want to talk about. It's on page 3. It's italicized at the bottom. Evolution is simply the term used by non-participants to denote a particular sequence of revolutions as they synthesized into a specific major social change. And as I understood it was that evolution is made up of revolutions. Like, there has to be a lot of stances against something before you can even change policy.
Yeah. Simply a term used by non-participants to denote a particular sequence of revolutions as they synthesize into specific major social change. Well, yeah, like you're gonna have to fight for things. Like they're not gonna be able to change just like automatically.
Right. I think that's very hard for us to understand though, because a lot of how we want things, we want it immediate, right?
Well, that's because of today's society. Like
Well,
that's just.
and technology is very reflective of that. I mean, I get emails from all my classes
Right now.
on my cell phone. Yeah, literally right now, even as we're talking.
Oh, you're so clever.
I know.
I feel like we're so cheesy.
I know you're kidding.
It started me now. We need to start arguing soon.
But I think the way that we were raised makes it very hard for us to be tolerant of revolutions, because a lot of times we build up our steam and everything, and we're saying, well, I oppose this and this and this. Well, let's do something about it. And all of a sudden you organize it, and you go through something, and it just doesn't come to fruition. All of a sudden people start to get frustrated because it's taking too long.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking even of today's administration. People thought that once Obama was elected, things would change.
Yeah, but okay. So the biology short-term evolution is change over time. Like it's
Right.
not.
Right.
It takes a shit ton of time to make something happen. So, I mean, like even with the presidency, Obama's taking over what George Bush did,
Mm-hmm.
and so like they're all overlapping to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. I think it is hard for, like, I know it's hard for me. Like, I'm not patient at all. Like, when I do something, I want the results, like, right then and there.
Yeah.
But, so I think that might play into, like, a key role of people who are involved in revolutions, just like patience. Like, I don't know, you have to be realistic of what the outcome timeline is going to be.
But see, for a conflict for me, and I think for a lot of people as far as change is concerned, is at what point do we determine that that we can't afford patience anymore? Like, say for example, I'm waiting for change for like 5 years or something. Well, is 5 years too long or is it too short? Like, is it...
But is it, are you just talking about something for you?
No, I'm talking in general.
Okay, because I don't think it's bad for us to sit here and fight for something even though we're not going to reap the benefits of it, but future, like our grandchildren are.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of how it is for the Green Revolution. Like we're not seriously going to reap the benefits. I mean, we are a little bit, but we're doing it to save our planet in the long run so our family members can be here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it depends on the situation, but I think most of the time the revolutions that go on today tend to be for future generations rather than ourselves personally.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes me think of trends that we go through. We go through a lot of trends, like say for example, we're talking about the Green Revolution again. How, like, right now it's not necessarily at its peak, but it's up there, right? It's on the minds of I don't want to say a lot of people, but a good majority, at least a lot of people know about it.
Right.
More so than they did 10 years ago. So right now we're in a trend, but what if that changes, or what could be attributed to that change? And I'm thinking it's patience, right? When people get impatient because, well, we're recycling, but nothing's changing. but it's hard for people to see the change because we won't see it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the next generation will, but we won't.
Speaking of ideology, on page 10, he says the prerequisite for ideology is possession of the basic truth. And I think that ties in, like, we have this ideology which changes, but the basic truth is we're not going to see that change now. Like, we're not going to, like, the basic truth is it takes a long time. So I think that's just one of the truths that you need to put in your head and realize that it's not going to happen right then and there.
Since you mentioned ideology, I want to talk also about dogma. On page 4, right in the middle, it says, in the heat of conflict, these ideologies tend to be smelted into rigid dogmas, claiming exclusive possession of the truth, and the keys to paradise is tragic. Dogma is the enemy of human freedom.
I don't know what dogma is.
A dogma is like strict rules, or
Like
very concrete rules that are followed. Say, for example, some people refer to Catholicism's teachings as dogma because it's very structured. It's very, you're going to church every Sunday,
Okay.
and even though you're going to hell. But I think what he's really addressing not only human freedom, but the freedom of human thought. If you give into a dogma, you're told what to think. You're not encouraged to think, you're told what to think.
That's the baking of education. Just so you know. That's what I thought.
Brownie points.
I know. Mark that one on your suck-up list.
But I do think it's very easy to give into a dogma because you're told what to do. You could just go along passively.
Yeah, but it's easier to be passive than sit there and like, I want change, like I want to fix something.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, and you know that reminds me of. Sorry. It reminds me. It reminds me of counseling, because as a psychologist, your job isn't to tell them what to do. You're just there to kind of like guide them along. And a lot of clients get frustrated because they go to a psychologist for answers. Well, a psychologist can't give them answers.
yeah.
You can't say for example, you're having a problem with a friend of yours or something like that. I can't tell you, well, stop being friends, or I can't tell you to keep on working on it. It has to be your decision. And so I think it would be very easy for a person to give into a dogma because you don't have to do any work, right?
There is no friction. No, I got this.
So
Page
late.
21.
All right.
He talks about how change means movement and movement means friction. So that just kind of makes me think of, like, again, knowing the basic truth of what's going to happen. Like, it's not always going to be an easy, simple ride. Like, it's not existent. World about my personal philosophy. I just not read that right there. I'm just saying, like, this whole book is about change and causing change throughout society, and again, movement means friction.
Yeah, but it's not just change created by senators or something like that, or by Congress. He's bringing it back to the people. He's bringing it back to say for example,
The youth.
Yeah, the youth, or even the term that he used, the have-nots, right? People that don't have any power, or so it seems. Besides, the only power that we have is like.
So like we're like the power, like we're the initiators of change. Like we need to be the initiators of what?
That's what I'm reading from here. Is that it starts with us. It starts with us, and then it just has to work our way up.
Well, see, I think that kind of makes sense because I guess I would think of us as like outsiders. Therefore, we see what the world truly is, rather than being just like trapped in the system. But then again, I don't know if that idea contradicts one of his thoughts about how there's all these people who are like, okay, well, why don't you just live like this? Like, why don't you just live like this? Or why don't you do this? But they're not in that situation. They don't understand.